thank you for joining me. Today I'm going to be discussing cervical spine therapy. So if you've watched some of my other videos, if you've been out to my website, you may know that a couple of months ago I broke my neck and I was in a cervical collar for 3 months. I had a break right near my C6, C7 vertebrae. Okay, so that was immobilized. Now, we all are aware, if you're wearing something to immobilize, those muscles in that area are going to get weak. But there's actually more to it than that when you're doing rehabilitation at home. Now, if you have broken your neck and you've healed and you're out of that process of your immobilizer, most likely your doctor is going to give you a script for physical therapy. You should absolutely take that script and go to your physical therapist. Physical therapists are really important. They're sort of like mechanics for the body. My body is going to be different from your body, and so the great thing about a physical therapist is they can objectively look at what's working, what's not working, and then make suggestions and corrections for you to get stronger and be better. Everybody's body is different, so what works for one person may not necessarily work for everybody. So if you're in a situation and your doctor has given you a script for physical therapy, take that script and use it. I would have loved a script for physical therapy, but my doctor said that in my case, he doesn't do that. I didn't have to have surgery to put my vertebrae back in place, so I think perhaps that's why. So now here I am, and I'm out of my neck brace, and I need to rehabilitate the muscles that got weak during that time. And thankfully, I have a background in fitness and health and exercise, and so I can do those things. So that's what this video is intended for. If you have been released from physical therapy, if you're in a situation where your doctor didn't prescribe physical therapy and you're working to rehabilitate your neck, these exercises are for you. So first off, we're going to have a little talk about gravity. Okay, if you're not aware of gravity and how it impacts your body, let me just quickly tell you, gravity is an invisible weight that presses on you all day long. Now, that invisible weight can be leveraged to be beneficial, right? When we do exercises in Pilates and yoga, we can use gravity to help us stretch more. We can work against gravity to help us strengthen muscles, okay? So gravity is not a negative thing. It's actually a positive tool that we can use. And it's important to be aware of gravity because when you're starting the rehabilitative process, you're gonna wanna pick exercises that work with gravity, okay? So if you're just starting off, for these next stretches we're gonna do, you're going to want to be on your back. And you think about that, what happens? Well, when we're on our back, gravity is coming at us from here. The spine is nice and long against the mat or the floor, and so the spine is not having to endure the impact of gravity like it is right now. If I'm sitting right here and I work on turning my head to the right, okay, I can do that, but I've got gravity coming straight down on my head. That's maybe not going to be super beneficial for me right now. Okay, so we're going to start off on our backs, on the mat or the floor. It's not really important. You want to have a nice long spine. You want to be in neutral position, okay? So your pelvis is in neutral. You feel your tailbone connected to the floor beneath you. You want to make sure you're nice and relaxed in your hip sockets. And sometimes for me, I take my thumbs and I just push on in there to make sure it's relaxed. My heels are in line with my sits bones. My arms are going to be right by my sides. Now, in this position, I should give the long hair warning. If you have long hair, it's maybe going to be a little bit of a challenge for you to do these. You definitely don't want to have a ponytail, something on the back of your head that would stick you up. Obviously, no hair clips here. It works best for you to not have any sort of ponytail or hair holder on the back of your head as you do these exercises. Okay, so here we are. In our neutral position, arms are reaching by your sides. And I want you to think about broadening your collarbones to get your shoulder blades onto your back, because this is how you would want to stand. And I'm going to guess, if you've been in a cervical collar like I have, hanging out right here is pretty comfortable. This feels a whole lot like what I just did for the past 3 months. Now, you're going to make sure, send some energy through your fingertips, like you're reaching toward your toes, just to help keep the shoulders out of your ears. And you want to make sure here, as you move, that your shoulders stay stable, okay? So I'm looking straight up at the ceiling, and I'm going to slide my right ear toward my right shoulder. And I'm just going to hang out here. So again, in relation to gravity, gravity's not really impacting me right here, but gravity is helping me keep my spine long, right? I'm here in this position with the long spine against the mat, and gravity is not impacting that. It's not smashing my spine down, it's not compressing it. So it's up to me to keep the appropriate space between the vertebrae and to keep my body in the position it needs to be in. Now you want to hold here for several breaths. And make sure, because if you're tight, what's going to happen when your right ear goes toward your right shoulder is your left shoulder might feel a tendency to want to slide up to you. Like it's trying to connect and come up to your ear. So keep a little bit of extra energy through the left fingers. And then bring your head back to center. So take a moment, assess. If your left shoulder blade went totally crazy and pulled up off the mat and went in a weird place, you're going to want to fix that right now. Broaden the collarbones, energy through the fingertips. Now we're going the other direction. Left ear toward the left shoulder. Now let's say you start to move. Oh, and make sure as you do this, you should squarely be looking at the ceiling. Okay? Don't let your head be rotated. You're not looking off at an angle. You are straight up to the ceiling here. Let's say when you go to move, it's very, very difficult and very painful for you to move your ear toward your shoulder. So what can you do instead? Instead, keep your head still and bring your shoulder up toward your ear. Okay? It's the same muscles. In one case, you're moving origin to insertion, and in the other case, you're moving insertion to origin. Good, bring your head back to center. So I'll show you what that looks like. My head's center, my collarbones are broad. Let's say my head doesn't want to go to the right, okie doke. I keep my head centered. I let that right shoulder just come on up. And now, keep in mind, it's not lift the right shoulder at whatever cost, okay? My shoulder's not forward, it's not doing anything funky. Shoulder blade stays on my back and it slides up. And I can very easily feel a muscle contraction up here. Now, I only recommend doing that if you cannot bring your ear toward your shoulder. If you can bring your ear toward your shoulder, you should do that one instead. It's going to be more appropriate for what you need. All right, so now, collarbones are broad, shoulder blades are on the back, arms are by the sides, fingertips reach toward the heels. Turn your head to look right. Okay, now this is a great example of us being able to use gravity to our benefit. If you think about it, in this position, gravity is coming down right here. It's coming down on the left side of my face. So just very, very gently, I am getting pressure from an external force, which is gravity, to help me rotate my head. Now, it's very important to be aware of this because you don't want to overstay your welcome. So when that muscle starts feeling like you've had enough, bring your head back to center, okay? I don't like to say, oh, hold this for 5 breaths or whatever, because like I said in the beginning, everybody's going to be different. And the amount of time that I can hold a stretch right now is going to be different than the amount of time that I can hold a stretch next week. So the key is just keep working and use your body and listen to your body and let that tell you when it's time to move on. All right, so shoulder blades are on the back, head is at center. Now, moving to the left, which is by far my weaker stretch. you're like me, when you got released from the doctor, you got a really handy piece of paper that told you should turn your head to the right and the left, and you should bring the right ear to the right shoulder and the left ear to the left shoulder. And then it also told you should look up and look down. So while that is extremely helpful, I thought I'd give you some additional stretches and some additional information about getting those stretches so that you don't accidentally tweak a muscle and injure yourself. Now, let's say you get to the point, and you will, where laying on the ground, stretching this way, is not entirely beneficial. You don't really feel like you're getting a good stretch. So the question is, what can you do to increase that stretch? Good, bring your head back to center if you haven't already. All right, if you want to increase that stretch, my suggestion for those 4 exercises that we've done already is you want to take a seat by a wall. All right, you sit however's comfortable for you. You must have a neutral pelvis, okay? So if you want to have legs out in front of you, or if you want to have legs crossed, whatever you want, but you have to feel your sits bones connect to the ground beneath you, and then you lift nice and tall. When you do this, your low back will not touch the wall, your thoracic vertebrae will, your neck will not, the back of your head will. And so now we've got gravity coming straight down. You would go ear to shoulder. You could also turn the head. Now, I like to use the wall because if I just turn my head normally, my head would be out here. I'm a full hand span away from the wall. Okay, so that's not in neutral. That's a forward head placement. That's going to cause dysfunction with the muscles that I'm working to rebuild later on down the path. It might feel good now, it might feel okay, but it's going to cause something to mess up in the future. Okay, so you want to work on being able to turn and keep your head in the neutral position. All right, enough with that. Now we're going to look up and look down, just like that handy sheet suggested. So again, you're going to find your sits bones connected to the floor or the mat beneath you. Look up. Now, I'm going to bring my head down so I can talk to you, because you don't want to talk when you're tilted up. But here's something else that we're going to do. Yes, of course, we're going to tilt up. I want you to keep your mouth closed. I want you to think about bringing your bottom lip kind of like up over your top lip, or at least firmly pressing them together. Then we're going to come to center. We're going to turn slightly to an angle, lift up. We're going to do the same thing. This is going to get a great stretch for the muscles along the front of the neck. Okay, here we go. So go ahead, look up and button your lips. And come on back to center. It's also really key, as you do these exercises, make sure you only hold so long that the muscles can still be active to bring you back to center. All right, going to the side. So I look straight over to the right side. First, you want to make sure shoulder blades are on your back. I look over to the right. I look up and a button. And come down, lowering, and then you rotate back to center. Good. Take a moment here, kind of move your shoulders, help relax those neck muscles if you need to. You can also use your hand and rub, that's fine too. Now, lifted nice and tall, shoulder blades on the back. Go ahead, look over to the left, and that's my cranky side. And then we're gonna tilt up and button the lips. And bring the head back down and back to center. Man, I love those because whoo, do I feel that all along the bottom of my skull. All right.